My interest in this project comes out of my long-term interest in modern politics and modern democracy, and I've always been interested in lies and deception and the ways in which mistrust breeds among the public and among politicians. And for this project, I'm interested in tracking a shift over the course of the last 100 years or so in the way people have perceived conspiracies. And something does seem to have changed, which is in the early days of modern mass democracy, the primary suspicion was government suspicion of the people. As democracy developed, as it emerged, people in power were mistrustful of this new form of politics, and they looked for conspiracies, revolutionary conspiracies, other kinds of conspiracies among the public. And there was also a sense among the public, and this goes back to some classic democratic theory, that in a democracy you need government to protect the people against other kinds of conspirators, corporations, banks, a strong theme in 19th century political thought. But what happens over the course of the 20th century is conspiracy and conspiracy theory starts to focus on government itself. And that's the big shift that I'm interested in looking at, and as part of this project with my colleagues, study it in lots of different ways. Because classic conspiracy theory now suspects government of being the conspirator, and governments of concealing information, of having plots against the people, conspiracies against the public, as they're sometimes called. And this also connects to a rise more recently in the last generation or so in the spread of information about politics, connects to the information technology revolution, to the modern media age. There is so much information out there, but the rise of information, the rise of greater knowledge about how government works has not increased trust in government, it's increased mistrust in government. Both the more we know, but also the more we suspect about what's being concealed. And in this historical trajectory, in a way it's leading up to the present, because one of the interesting things about now is we're living through a crisis of a kind of democracy, of trust, and also, of course, a financial crisis. And one of the things you might expect to happen now is some kind of reversion back to what was going on in the early 20th century, where suspicion moves away from government as people come to realise that they depend on government to protect them in these times of crisis, towards some of these other organisations, banks, corporations and so on. And there's some sign of that happening now, but not a lot. Recent polling surveys in America still suggest that people mistrust government now more than they mistrust big business. Big government is thought to be the conspiracy against the public, not big business. So what I want to do in this project as part of the wider study of conspiracy over a long time frame is look at these shifts over the 20th and early 21st century to try and trace how and why suspicion, mistrust produces conspiracy and conspiracy theory in democratic politics, and why somehow government has become the focus of that, and what it would take to shift that focus away from government onto something else. That's what I want to study.